Lowe's knows tough jobs call for tougher tools. The new DeWalt Elite Series power tool accessories are built to last for the pro who doesn't stop. With precision fitment, durability, and impact resistance, finishing jobs faster has never been easier. Shop the new DeWalt Elite Series at an everyday low price exclusively at Lowe's. We help, you save.
Alrighty, welcome back to another Wisco Fanatics Tuesday evening. We are discussing the Green Bay Packers today. Today we're going to discuss the roster cutdowns. Last week we did our roster predictions. Today we're going to discuss the finalized roster real quick and the Darian Kinnard trade before we jump into bold predictions and stat projections, which are going to be very fun, very interesting, and give us some good discussions, some of them, and then we'll have the things. So I've seen everybody's stat projection numbers, and then I have consensus them out. And then from there, we'll go through and we'll look at who's got some stuff that kind of stands out and have some discussion based on that. But we're going to hit the intro and we're going to talk about the roster for a little bit.
Welcome to another episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we cover the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, and Badgers basketball and football teams from an optimistic and realistic perspective.
Wisco Fanatics is brought to you by Cardboard Legacy, Wisconsin's most complete sports card shop. Buy, sell, grade, and consign all at their location in Oshkosh.
Okay, so today Packers roster got finalized. So I'll just I'll throw it to you guys. Is there anything on the roster that you saw that kind of stands out to you specifically as far as keeps, cuts that surprised you?
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. I think the first one a little bit was Christian Welch and Isaiah Simmons getting cut because they're such huge contributors on special teams. I mean, Christian Welch did everything for us on special teams. So I'm wondering if something's going to happen where they're getting him back tomorrow or some, some kind of move or something's going to happen there. So he's a big piece. And so carrying 4 linebackers was a little surprise. And then honestly, for offensive line, if you told me out of like Kadeem Telford, Donovan Jennings, and Lecitus Smith, who we're going to keep, Donovan Jennings would have probably been the bottom of the list because he has not looked good at all. So I was pretty surprised
in the last game. I'll say that.
Okay, but overall, I thought Lecitus Smith's body of work was better over the preseason. But we don't see him in practice. So
I'll say I'll just give myself a quick victory lap because Donovan Jennings was my surprise keeper for the roster. And we did put out a bunch of guys who could be some surprise keeps or cuts. Mecole Hardman was a guy who made the keep and cut surprise list. Like he was so up in the air. And then I just want to address one quick thing. We put Kingsley Enagbare on the potential surprise cuts strictly because I still think there is work for him to be done, especially in the run game. I just don't think that they've seen quite the progress that I'm sure they would have liked to. And obviously as us, guys that watch the show and take notes on all the games, like I think there's opportunity for him to grow there. And I don't think we've seen enough growth from him in that aspect.
I think he does enough on like a third downs and stuff if they need. Now on third downs, I want it to be Gary and LVN if that's where our starters out pretty much 100% of the time. But I think he's done enough to where if one of those guys will go down, they trust him a lot on third down passing to get to the passer or at least put some pressure on. So I think he has value there. So he helped himself in the preseason with that part. But I'll pass it over to Jake if he had any surprises with the roster. Oh, actually, one more. Micah Smith over Kalen King.
Micah Robinson?
Yeah, Micah Robinson. Yeah, Micah Robinson over Kalen King. That was a little shocking to me. Maybe more because there was so much hype for King. After they picked him in the 7th round, and there was all the articles talking about if he would have came out the year before, he would have been a 2nd or 3rd rounder. So all the fans start thinking like, oh man, we got to steal in the 7th round. So maybe from that perspective, it becomes a little bit more shocking. Was I shocked that they got rid of Isaiah Simmons? Honestly, no. I watched the preseason. I was hyper focused on him the first couple of games, and I'm not gonna lie, he looked like he was fucking lost out there. Like, you ever seen those YouTube videos where they say, "Get this guy a map"? I was yelling that on my TV constantly the first 2 preseason games. Like, dude, it's a 5-yard hitch, dog. Why are you going 10 yards back? What are we doing right now? It's 3rd and 7, dude. Why are you dropping 10 yards back? That doesn't make any sense.
That
Christian
fullback, leaking out in the Jets game and him standing at the sticks, that was
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christian Welch, man, you at a certain point, it doesn't become about fandom. You just kind of feel for the guy, man, because he did everything in his power the last 2 preseasons to make this 53-man roster, and he gets cut back-to-back years. I thought this was a year. Like, I wrote him down on my roster. I didn't get to join last week. I was having some technical difficulties, but I wrote him down. I thought he was a shoo-in, honestly. He does everything. He shows up every day. He plays special teams really well. I was like, man, if they're going to cut Isaiah Simmons, they're going to keep Christian Welch, and only keeping 4 linebackers is a little shocking to me. Although Green Bay, they probably do have to go a little bit heavier on O-line and defensive line, just because there's really not that much depth up front, which is, brings us into the next topic if you want to just switch over to the trade.
Can I say something really quick just on
go ahead.
Linebackers? What I think, and I was kind of at a point where we talked about this last week, that I was either thinking Welch or Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they did not keep Welch or Simmons, either one, I think that speaks volumes to Tyron Hopper's progression.
That's fair.
And one more point.
I thought you looked tremendous on the blitz last week. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Ryan.
No, you're good. I was cutting you. Echo your point on Tyron Hopper. He's looked a lot better. Honestly, I think other than a little bit of favoritism, veteran, position, I think Tyron Hopper should probably be on the field more than Isaiah McDuffie at this point, because I feel like we're at the point where we need to figure out how good Tyron Hopper is and if we need to pay Quay Walker $10, $12 million next year. Because if Tyron Hopper is good enough to take that position, then we're not going to overpay Quay. You know what I mean? Because, yes, Quay's been a good player, but he's been all that consistent? Not really. He's got a lot of speed. He makes some flash plays. So I would like to see what Tyron – so I think by the end of the season we'll see Tyron on the field a lot more. Or by midseason, I should say. And then lastly, I think there is a decent chance when they can do practice squads tomorrow, you might see someone like Christian Welch and Mecole Hardman. They might have told Mecole Hardman, hey, we're going to cut you now. Let us bring you back on the practice squad. For the first 3 weeks, we're going to call you up and you're going to be our punt returner and see what sticks or something like that. I could very easily doing something like that.
Yeah. Mecole Hardman's a guy that's easier to get back than, say, Chris Brooks, for example.
Yeah. I mean, to kind of piggyback on your topic of Hopper, I think, going back to the conversation about third downs as well, I think that's where Hopper can flourish. Because if you put yourself in situations where it's 3rd and 5s to 3rd and 7s, and you're going to have your scat back out there, you want a guy that's a little bit quicker, a guy that maybe can blitz and have, bring pressure up the middle. And that was kind of his MO coming out of college, is he was a really, really good blitzer up the A-gap out of that double mug look. So that's where I think Hopper's really going to become kind of like a specialist. Like in basketball, they have a guy who's just a sniper that comes off the bench. His job is to sit in the corner or be that secondary break guy and shoot those deep threes. That's where I think Hopper can kind of be a specialist, where he can be a blitzer, or if he develops as a pass defender, that will go a very long way for him. That's where he'll take snaps away from McDuffie. That
would be plenty for me to be like, all right, let's put him in over McDuffie.
McDuffie's not very strong in coverage. That dude had like 90-something or like 90% completion percent last year. So I know one of the things coming out of college was Tyron Hopper had a really high missed tackle rate. I didn't see that very much in preseason. So as long as that doesn't rear its ugly head, I do think he's going to start to take some snaps.
I feel like that got a little bit blown out of proportion because, yes, 14% is high, but it's not that high. Especially for somebody who's young and you would expect improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Steve asked 2 good questions, or a good point and a good question. Steve said Rashawn Gary had a 59% snap share. That needs to go up, and that means Enagbare needs to play the run better on early downs. That's totally true. What I was going to say about Enagbare, I think, is he's a guy that you might not trust on, 2nd and short, but if it's 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, or if they get a tackle for loss on 1st down, you can put him in on a more obvious passing down on an early down and send him after the quarterback. The thing that we haven't seen from him enough is the run stopping ability, the reading the gaps. He did get a little bit better the last couple of years at setting the edges. Like we credit him for that when it happens. But it's just not consistent enough. But then Steve asked a very good question. Does the 4 linebackers signal more play time for 3 safety looks and Bullard? And that is absolutely a possibility.
I think it's too early to say that because I think you could still see someone like Baron Farrell end up on. They had to have him on the roster. Now they put him on IR so he can come back in 4 weeks, and then they bring back Christian Welch tomorrow on the active roster, something like that. I think we have to get through tomorrow and see what's going to happen with waivers and cuts and practice squads and all that before we can really glean anything from what the roster structure is like.
Goody does have a press conference scheduled for 3:00 tomorrow, so very fair chance that there's going to be some more other moves coming tomorrow morning.
To answer Steve's question, I would absolutely love nothing more than if Bullard turns into a box safety because he's so good at tackling. He can tackle in the open field and he can cover. If you want to turn into a box safety, I mean, by all means, dude, we have the depth at safety now. So please.
That'd be fun.
That would be so fun, dude.
All right, so before we get into the super fun stuff of the show, let's not that trades aren't fun, but they don't happen very often, and it's not a super sexy trade. Packers traded a 6th-round pick in 2027 for a former 5th-round pick, Darian Kinnard, to essentially add to the depth for the offensive line, something that offensive line coach Luke Butkus said that it wasn't where they wanted it to be. Hence, you bring in a former 5th-round pick for a future 6th-round pick. I don't have any super strong feelings about it. It's for depth. That's what it is.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
For me, he is just a versatile piece. He's played tackle. I think we're going to probably have him at one of the guard spots. Sounds like and with his PFF grade, if you go off that from preseason stuff, he's an average tackle. It's not someone you want there as your full-time starter, but that's not what we traded him for. He's not going to be a full-time starter. He's like our number 8 offensive lineman who has some versatility, which is what the Packers love. So this is if we have to shift a couple guards, you might see Kinnard come in as a guard or something like that. So
I feel like he would have to be – the only way he sees the field is if Jenkins and Banks miss time. Because if just Jenkins is out, Ryan moves to center, Morgan goes to right guard, Walker goes to left tackle. So you need 2 interior guys to be hurt for Kinnard to see the field.
Yeah, not a – like you said,
yeah,
not a really
I do think he would see it over
Donovan Jennings?
Oh, maybe.
No, I do think he would see the field over Belton right now, but
Belton. I feel
really, the goal is to not see either Kinnard or Belton on the field.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. All right, I will give you guys the democracy on this, and people in the comments can give their choice as well. Steve said Kinnard turns over the bottom of the roster. Great move. That's totally fair. Do you guys want to do goal predictions or stat projections first?
Defense stat projections.
We can do.
Want to do the defensive stats first?
Defense first. Offense is way more fun.
Okay. All right. So let me bring this up. You guys want to start on the secondary or on the D-line?
D-line, bro.
Secondary.
Start from the inside out.
Wow.
Inside
Jesus
out, bro.
Christ.
Inside out.
Okay, inside out.
That's just where my brain works. I'm sorry.
Okay. Starting with Kenny Clark.
Yeah.
So this is where we have Kenny Clark. We have a projected consensus. These are all consensus numbers. All of these projections you're going to see on here, they're all consensus numbers. We have Kenny Clark for 38 tackles, 33 pressures, 5.5 sacks, and 28 run stops. Honestly, as far as Kenny Clark is concerned, not a whole lot of variance. I was the lowest on sacks at 4. Jake was the highest at 7. Simon was at 5. Bryant was at 6. So we had 4, 5, 6, 7. Not a ton of variance there. Same with run stops. I mean, we're all fairly close to each other as well as with pressures and tackles. So not a ton of variance or outlier stuff with Kenny Clark, if there's anything you guys want to say on Kenny.
He's got to have a big year.
This would be a great season if he can get back. Yeah, if he can get right back to that 6-sack type season, back to the Kenny we've seen. I think his time with us is probably coming to the end unless there's some kind of restructure. So another strong year. He might have some motivation to try to get a contract elsewhere next year. So I'm hoping we get a fired up Kenny.
Yeah. I will say as far as pressures to sacks go, I did have him with the highest amount of pressures and the lowest amount of sacks. I do think that he's going to be a guy that forces the quarterback to get rid of the ball a lot without necessarily always getting home. And Jake is kind of the inverse. You had him with the lowest amount of pressures with the highest amount of sacks. So you kind of feel that the ball is either going to be gone before Kenny gets there, or if Kenny does get there, that he's bringing the quarterback down.
I have a lot of step-up situations where Gary comes off the edge and he pushes him into Kenny Clark. That's kind of what I think.
Yeah. Steve, I'll be honest with you. There's only one player that I really feel like we have not a strong consensus on, and we'll talk about him in a minute. But I think you're going to see with a lot of our numbers, and I think we've done really well with this in the past as well, is that like all of our numbers that we end up with are either super fair or honestly dead on. Like we've done really well with these in the past. That's why we keep moving. Okay. Moving on. We'll go to Devontae Wyatt. So Devontae Wyatt, we have projected 31 tackles, 35 pressures, 7 sacks, and 20 run stops. Again, not a ton of variance. Jake and I had him for 7.5 sacks. Simon had him for 7. Brian had him for 6. I have him for the most pressures. I'm definitely lifting the thing here. And Simon's got him at 41, Brian at 27, Jake at 25. I have him at 48 pressures. So again, this one I do have the higher pressures, but also the highest amount of sack numbers there. But Jake, you have him for 50 tackles.
Yeah. I think people are going to have film on where the Packers blitzed last year, and I think they're going to try to block some of that up, and I think the D tackles are going to get more one-on-one situations. I see a lot more wins up front.
I like it.
Especially if Wyatt stays healthy, dude. He was balling a couple of years ago when he was healthy.
I know I brought it up a bunch of times last season that as Devontae Wyatt went, so went the Packers defense. It didn't correlate, like perfect 100%, but Devontae Wyatt's health does correlate strongly with the health of the Packers defense. Okay. We'll move on to Carl Brooks. Carl Brooks is an interesting one. So I'm just going to throw this out there that I have him with the most amount of sacks by a fair amount. I have him at 5.5 sacks. Okay. Jake has him at 4, Simon at 3, Brian at 3.5. And the reason that I have him at 5.5 is I believe that Carl Brooks gets a bump with TJ Slayton out of the picture. Obviously, a healthy Devontae Wyatt takes a lot of snaps in that scenario, but I think Carl Brooks is the guy in line to see the biggest increase in snaps with TJ Slayton going to Cincinnati.
Hell yeah.
Jake, you had him lowest on the run stops. I just wanted to know if there was anything you had thought-wise there.
He's not a strong run defender.
Okay.
He plays a lot on passing downs.
Pretty point blank on that one.
All right. Moving on to Rashawn Gary. This is an interesting one as well. So looking at Rashawn Gary, we have him consensus for 46 tackles, 56 pressures, 10 sacks, 33 run stops. I'm really not going to find a lot of things on here where it's like, oh, I don't see that this is possible. We don't do that. That's part of the optimistic and realistic stuff that we do here. It's realistic numbers. Now, I had him at 10. Jake had him at 9. Brian had him at 10. Simon did have him at 12 sacks. He really just felt that this was Rashawn Gary's year. He didn't have a strong explanation for certain reasons why, but that was what he had for Rashawn Gary with 12 sacks. But I think if this is Rashawn Gary's year, this is a solid year.
Yeah, I think with this year.
Yeah, and I think if LVN starts to show up a little much more, if what's coming out of camp and what we've seen the preseason snaps and stuff like that are any indication, I think that's very possible. A healthy Kenny Clark and a healthy Devontae Wyatt, they're not going to just be able to focus on Rashawn. It's not, otherwise those three will eat them up. So I think maybe there's finally a chance you'll see a few less double pressures. I can't remember what stat it is. I think it's pressures or something like that. Or there's some kind of stat that Rashawn Gary's right there with like Myles Garrett. I wish I would have saved it. And Myles Garrett and like TJ Watt. I can't remember what
top 5 in double teams, something like that.
Yeah. So, and rush passes, or it's like forcing rush passes or something. He's really high in.
Yeah.
So he's up there. And if you don't think people aren't game planning for him and that because he's only getting 8-9 sacks a season, you're wrong, because they are double teaming him pretty much all the time.
Steve said that Gary was chipped a lot. How many times last season did we have conversations that there's more to pass rush than just sacks?
Yep.
And I think it was a couple times during the Rams game where he's coming off the edge and there's just an arm around his neck and there's no holding penalties called. I can think of at least 3 times that happened last year when we were doing play breakdowns, and it's like, yeah, that's a holding penalty.
Yep.
And it happened multiple times last season. So as we go to LVN and we talk about potential breakouts, an LVN breakout obviously would help Rashawn Gary a lot. So again, I feel like we're reasonable while also being optimistic here. 39 tackles, 35 pressures, 7 sacks, and 23 run stops for LVN. I'm going to be obviously continuing to bang the drum that we are all pretty consistent on this. Jake's the lowest at 6 sacks. Simon's the highest at 8. Bryant and I both had him at 7.5.
Well, that's pretty good, actually. I mean, with nobody talking during notes, and for us to be that close is pretty good.
And again, I am the only one that ends up seeing all these, and I will be also very straightforward to anybody listening, watching, and also with you two. I had mine done before I was asking you guys when you guys were going to have yours done.
Mm-hmm.
So that my numbers are not influenced by any of yours. Mine are already done.
Mm-hmm.
So before I see any of yours, obviously I already have mine down, so mine aren't influenced by yours, and you guys don't see each other's until I come to you guys with the consensus. And then I discuss with, I bring up the points of who's got stuff that's, kind of outside where the other 3 of us are. And that's where our talking points come from when we do these. So again, I have nothing highlighted for Lucas Van Ness. All 4 of us feel pretty similar that there is a potential breakout coming here. I will say, Jake, you have him the highest on tackles at 60.
Mm-hmm.
So similar to a Carl Brooks situation, you just have Lucas Van Ness down for more tackles.
Yep, he is a good run defender, so he's going to be on the field a lot during running situations. And I think that Rashawn Gary took a really big leap in his run defense last year, so teams are probably going to try to run towards LVN, and I think he'll be up for the task.
I like it. Okay, so now we can move into the middle of the field. Let's do Isaiah McDuffie first because he's the least sexy of the linebacking. So we have McDuffie consensus for 56 tackles, 7 pressures, half a sack, and 27 run stops. This is, I think, kind of a product of something we're going to see in 2 players from now as far as role is concerned. Isaiah McDuffie, he's LB3, and we talked about Tyron Hopper, that he's going to have a role, especially if he continues to grow this season.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is just pretty quid pro quo numbers for Isaiah McDuffie. I don't know if you guys have anything you want to say on McDuffie.
Yeah, no, my projections are definitely lower because I think he's going to lose snaps. So
yeah, and honestly, yours aren't even that low. Yeah. I mean, the biggest gap is from 51 to 63 on tackles, so we're all within 12 of each other. The biggest difference in pressures is 6 to 10. I mean, run stops is really the only thing that there's a big variance on, and that's not that high either.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's step it up, but not too much yet. Let's discuss Quay Walker and our consensus stats for him. 98 tackles, 18 pressures, 3 sacks, and 30 run stops. I feel this would be a very solid season from Quay Walker, a season where if Tyron Hopper does progress, that I would be comfortable, say, potentially cutting Isaiah McDuffie at the end of next season and moving forward with a linebacker core of Quay Walker, Edgerrin Cooper, Tyron Hopper, and LB4 could be a draft pick next year, could be a free agent signing next year.
Yeah.
So looking at Quay Walker, I did ask Simon, and this is going to go to our next linebacker that we're also going to discuss. Simon does have him for 17 pressures, which is a little bit lower. Bryant has him for 11. I have him for 18. Jake has him for 25. But Simon did have him projected for the most sacks at 4. Bryant was the lowest at 2. So, again, not a large variance. But I did ask Simon about the gap, or not the gap, but the high number of sacks to the lower number of pressures. And I'll just say this with Edgerrin Cooper, who's going to be our next guy that we discuss. He felt that Hafley is going to be putting these guys in good situations. He felt like he had a good feel for using Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper in blitz packages, in blitzing situations, and that's why he had a low pressure yielding a higher amount of sacks.
Oh, that's fair. I'm kind of a little bit in the opposite, where I feel like I said, I feel like they're going to blitz a lot, and people are going to be, studying their film on where we're blitzing from, and people are going to pick it up, and that's why I have the higher sack numbers for some of the other big boys. So, Kenny Clarks and Wyatt's of the world.
All right. I'm going to put this a little preface on here. This may be our most fun graphic that we discuss. Edgerrin Cooper is going to be the most fun graphic that we have on here. Our consensus numbers have him for 115 tackles, 26 pressures, 6 sacks, and 37 run stops. We all feel very strongly about Edgerrin Cooper. We saw the breakout kind of happen at times last year. The health obviously wasn't as good as we hoped it would be, and you can see that in Edgerrin Cooper. You could tell during interviews last year that there were times where, you could tell that his health was not where he wanted it to be, and it was affecting him. Obviously, he wanted to be out there, and when he was really great. I will say my numbers, I had him at 108 tackles, 21 pressures, 6 sacks, and 52 run stops, and it was based heavily on the last 5 games that he played more than 35 snaps. So those games that he played more than 35 snaps, he averaged about 5 tackles a game, averaged about 3 run stops a game, did allow okay numbers as far as passing coverage go. But, 47.6% in coverage. He was really good there. But looking at him, he was very, very solid. He averaged 5.6 tackles a week, not 4.85. But, Edgerrin Cooper, again, I asked Simon. He's got the same 15 pressures equaling 5 sacks. That, again, he gave that credit to Hafley. Bryant, I'm going to go to you. You have him at 154 tackles. Do you want to elaborate on that now, or do you want to save that for a future segment, potentially?
I will save that for here in a little bit.
Okay.
Whoa. Leaving meat on the bone. I like it.
Let me just say this. As far as sack numbers go, Simon had him at 5. I had him at 6. Jake at 6.5. Bryant at 6.5. So, again, the 4 of us not knowing each other's numbers, all within a sack and a half. I had him at 108 tackles, Jake at 110, Simon at 89, and Bryant at 154. He's going to discuss that in another segment. But, for the 4 of us, again, not seeing each other's numbers, we have a pretty similar feeling that a very, very good season is in store for Edgerrin Cooper. Yeah. Justin said he's a fun player to watch, downhill, no-nonsense guy. He's a future star, for sure.
He helps the anxiety, I'll tell you that, because he just gets the damn job done.
In every aspect.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to Keisean Nixon, CB1. Keisean Nixon. So we did coverage stats as well as tackles and passes, defense, and interceptions. So our consensus numbers have Keisean Nixon, Nissan Nixon, if you will, if you know, you know. 53 for 83, a 63.9% completion percentage for 4.5 touchdowns, rounded up or down, however you want. 6 passes, defense, 2 interceptions, and 74 tackles. I feel like this would just be a solid season from Keisean Nixon. You look at essentially what corners are being paid. Keisean Nixon's, I would be okay with a season like this.
Yeah, and he's hard to project a little bit because he was so much better on the outside last year than he was in the slot, and that. So I think that has to do a little bit with his speed. So it'll be interesting to see a full season on the outside.
Yeah, and that's the thing that bringing in Nate Hobbs, who we can just go to Nate Hobbs, because I don't want to do Valentine quite yet. Bringing in Nate Hobbs to essentially play that slot position. We discussed his contract last week. He had a 4 for 48 with only $16 million guaranteed. So a very potential high reward that if Nate Hobbs is a very good slot corner, that $12 million a year is a great value versus if if he does poorly, they want to move on from him after year 1 or year 2, that they only guaranteed $16 million out of his contract. So I give Goody a lot of credit for being able to get to a guy to agree to a contract like that.
Yeah.
So we have Nate Hobbs on a consensus, 47 completions on 73 attempts, 64.4%, not a far cry from where we have Keisean Nixon, 3.5 touchdowns, 7.5 passes defense, 2 interceptions, and 73 tackles. Jake, I'm going to go to you on this one because you have Hobbs facing 100 passing attempts with 15 passes defense. So more than exactly double our consensus numbers here. So give me your thoughts on Hobbs facing so many passing attempts.
He plays in the slot that's closer to the quarterback. I feel like more pass attempts are closer to the quarterback, to the tight ends, to the running backs. With these projecting these passing stats, I try to put myself in a situation of like, how many do I think are going to get dumped off in front of him and going to be responsible for that guy? It's kind of hard to project that a little bit. So I'm looking at the numbers, and with the pass breakups, I mean, he's going to get a pass breakup for literally just like not turning his head in the ball. Somebody hits the quarterback and the ball hits him in the back of the head or something. So I was like, he'll probably get his hands on a few here and there. He'll have his good games. He's a dog, dude. Him and Nixon, and Valentine, dude. We thought we had a lot of shit talkers when Jair was in there. Holy shit, man! I would hate to play against the Packers, man. They're never going to shut up. But in terms of the interceptions and the touchdowns, I mean, it's hard to predict interceptions, and it's hard to get interceptions in the slot. So I was like, I feel like 2 is a pretty safe number to project. So I thought I was pretty close on that one.
Yeah. Jake and I had him at 2, Bryant at 1, Simon at 3. So I mean, it all averages out to 2.
Yep.
Steve, I'm going to save your comment on Adrian Cooper until we go back to Bryant, because that's good math. Let's talk Carrington Valentine. Now, this is the only guy that I think the 4 of us just don't have a strong consensus on. Now, if you look at the 4 of us, our numbers may come out to a solid consensus. We have him 34 for 56, 60.7%, 2 touchdowns allowed, 6 passes defense, 3 interceptions, and 46 tackles. Mm-hmm. That I all think is fine. However, you look at the completions versus attempts that the 4 of us have. Mm-hmm. I have him 32 for 43. Jake has him 40 for 90. Simon has him 17 for 27. Bryant has him 45 for 65. So between the 4 of us, 27, 43, 65, 90. That is a 63 target faced variance between Simon at the bottom and Jake at the top. So this is really, really the only guy that really none of us have the same feel on.
I have an explanation. He's a starter now. The Packers' run defense is much better. So I feel like the Packers' run defense is better. He's a starter, and I expect the Packers' offense to put a lot of pressure on people that have to throw the ball to keep up with us. That's my explanation.
And I was just going to say, you have Nixon at 90 passing attempts.
Yep.
Hobbs facing 100 and Valentine facing 90. So I would say what you just said, that goes to show in your stat projections for the 3 corners.
That's I really feel that way.
All right. That makes sense. It'll be very interesting to see. One of the 4 of us is going to get to say, I told you so at the end of the year.
Yeah, probably not.
Justin said, now here's a guy I want to see take a step forward this year and become a really solid player for us. He has potential. And this would be one of the guys that if he does, and like to Jake's point that he's a starter, obviously Hobbs' injury gives him a window of opening there. He is one of these guys that if he does play well, that Brian Gutekunst will deserve a lot of credit for.
Save big during Labor Day at Lowe's. Get up to 40% off select major appliances. Plus, buy more to get up to an additional 20% off. Shop even more savings with 3 Stay Green 1 cubic foot vegetable and flower garden soil bags for $10. This Labor Day, take care of your home for less at Lowe's. We help, you save. Valid through 9/3. Soil offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Selection varies by location. Select locations only. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. So we can go all the way to the back of the secondary and go to safeties, and we can kind of go to one of the hybrids first. The hybrid safety corner, Javon Bullard, who we have consensus at 41 for 58, 70.7%. 3 touchdowns, 4 passes defense, 2 interceptions, and 59 tackles. Now, I just want to throw this out there. Javon Bullard is going to be close to the line of scrimmage. He's going to be facing a lot of short passes, a lot of high percentage, high completion type passes. That's why this percentage reflects 70.7%. It's not that we think he is a bad coverage player. So I just want to preface that. Mm-hmm. Now on Bullard, I have him facing 65 passes. Jake has him facing 75. Simon at 60. Bryant, you have him facing only 30 pass attempts. Is there something you have a thought there as well?
Yeah, Bullard's just not going to be on the field that much as compared to, unless they do something like a box safety, because Nate Hobbs is going to be the slot cornerback, and then we have Valentine and Nixon. So I just think, honestly, I think Bullard could be a trade candidate towards, depending. I mean, there's a lot to play out, but he's just I don't know that he has a solid set role on this team right now.
We're going to discuss Evan Williams in just a second. I think his continued emergence will play a role into how much Bullard sees the field.
Okay.
Part of that will be health as well.
Mm-hmm.
Steve said a big variable is Hafley learning his personnel. Carrington showed out well late last year, and it's likely that Hafley knew his strengths. That's very possible. So let's go to another safety, and let's go to Evan Williams. So we have Evan Williams consensus at 27 completions on 51 pass attempts, 52.9%, 3 touchdowns, 6 passes defensed, 3 interceptions, and 65 tackles. Again, I feel like we're doing pretty reasonable things here. Jake, I think you're just going to say the same thing on both of these last two safeties. You have Evan Williams facing 80 pass attempts. I'm just going to assume that goes to your same point that you made with the corners.
Yeah, the thing about Evan that was hard for me, honestly, I was sitting here and I was like, he played close to the line of scrimmage in the first half of the year, and he was so good. I mean, both the safeties we got last year, Bullard and Evan Williams, were so good at tackling in the open field. So that was hard for me to project that. And then, as Xavier McKinney, they were trying not to throw it deep anymore because he just had an interception every goddamn week, it felt like. I mean, he did for the first couple weeks. Then they started rotating him to the back third. So now I'm thinking, like, is he gonna be doing that again? Are they gonna be switching off between? And that's why I probably have a higher attempts for Xavier McKinney too, because I'm like, somebody's got to cover deep third, and they're not just gonna not throw a deep third, bro. So I'm like, I'm rattling my brain thinking, like, I can't just give these guys like 20 pass attempts. Not all these guys are Ed Reed, bro. So it was tough, bro. Honestly, attempts and completions is really tough. That was the toughest thing for me to project.
And with so many of these guys being young, I mean, Valentine, Bullard, Williams, these guys are all first 2 years in the league. Yeah. So that there's not a super defined, clear role with a lot of these guys either.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the guy that we do know that has a pretty clear role is Xavier McKinney. All 4 of us think very highly of him. And Jake, again, had him at the highest numbers, but we have him consensus only facing 43 pass attempts. Now, again, Jake has him facing 70, but we have him as a consensus facing 21 completions on 43 attempts, 48.8%, only allowing 1 touchdown. I will say that averaged out to 0.75 between the 4 of us. 5 pass defensed, 6 interceptions, and 68 tackles. We're so close.
Dude, I had 69 too.
Looking at it, I have him at 7 interceptions, Jake at 6, Simon at 5, Bryant at 6. Again, this is a situation like Jake just said. He was so good last year, people are going to be afraid to throw in his direction.
Yeah, I just
see a drop in interceptions for him.
I just thought some of the pass attempts are just going to be him being the closest defender, so they have to give the goddamn pass attempt to somebody, honestly.
Yeah. And again, not a huge variance in the rest of our numbers. I mean, I have him facing 30 attempts, Simon 32, Bryant 40. Passes defense, I have him at 4, Simon at 3, Bryant at 5. Not a huge variance there. Jake just having him a little bit higher because he believes that the passing volume for the Packers' opponents is going to be higher.
Hey, I think they're only going to complete 20 out of the 70, so he's still elite.
Yeah, which is very, very low. So, again, we all have him consensus completing less than 50% of pass attempts against Xavier McKinney.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You guys ready to switch to offense?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we did fewer guys on offense this year. We didn't project any Ben Sims or Malik Heaths or anything like that or backup running backs. So where do you guys want to start? Tight ends, wide receivers, running backs?
What do you think, Brian?
Love?
I would say let's just start with the quarterbacks and go from there.
All right. So we projected Jordan Love, Malik Willis, Taylor Elgersma, and Sean Clifford all for this year.
Sean Clifford, 0 pass attempts.
Only Jordan Love. Malik Willis will have 3 pass attempts this year when he comes in at the end of third quarters after the Packers are beating the Bears 42-17. Both of them being in December. So with Jordan Love, we have him consensus 355 completions, 548 attempts for a 64.8% completion percentage, 4,434 yards, 12.5 yards per completion, 34 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 41 rushing attempts, 188 rushing yards, and 2.5 rushing touchdowns.
Dude,
Steve said if Love stays healthy, the Packers will score a ton. He has the most explosive pass plays, and I expect they'll be even better this year with Golden, Musgrave, Kraft, and Watson. Again, health plays into a lot of those guys as well, especially Watson and Musgrave. Now, with Jordan Love, Simon has him the highest at 4,586 yards and 13.6 yards per completion. I don't know if there's anything super specific you guys want to say on Love, but I mean, again, guys, all of our numbers are super close. The biggest variation in completions is from 336 to 375 between Simon and Bryant. Completion or attempts 540, 550, 543, and 560. We are all within 20 of each other. Touchdowns 33, 35, 34, 35. We are all within 2 of each other on that. Interceptions 11, 11, 9, 10. We are all within 2 of each other. Rushes 40, 40, 40, 45. And our rushing yards only vary from 160 to 211.
Who put 45?
Simon.
Oh.
For touchdowns?
Yes,
No,
45 touchdowns.
Rush attempts.
Oh,
rushing attempts, Jake.
Who put the other 35 for the touchdowns? Me and who else? Who?
Probably just Tyler or you, I guess.
No, Brian, it's you. That's why I stayed quiet. I was giving you.
I can't remember. Probably, yeah, me, I guess.
Oh, me and you? Damn, bro. Nice job. That's what I put down. I was like, 35.
I had him at 33. I do feel there will be a little bit, and I also the lowest on the attempts at 540, which is 3 lower than Simon has him at. But I do feel like there will be a little bit of a concerted effort to try to keep Love healthy, especially in week 1, just to make sure that the thumb is all good, which by all intents and purposes it is. And then, again, just if there's late game situations where the Packers are blowing somebody out and they put Malik Willis in just to finish games.
That's fair.
All right.
Now
going to Josh Jacobs. We did not do any backup running backs this year also, but Josh Jacobs, RB1, and we have him consensus. And again, this is, I think, very realistic. Again, I think we do a good job of this. 288 carries for 1,297 yards, 12 touchdowns, 4.5 yards per carry, 39 receptions on 47 targets for 348 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. Now, guys, virtual high fives all the way around. We all have him averaging 4.5 yards per carry.
Yeah. Nice. That's the math.
Literally all 4 of us.
That's
and the math an extra virtual high five to Jake and I, who have him projected both for 300 carries for 1,350 yards.
Math, baby.
I had him only for 12 touchdowns. Jake had him for 13. So there's a little bit of variance there. But you look at the reception numbers that we have him projected for: 40, 40, 40, and 35. Targets. Targets is even better. Targets 45, 45, 47, and 50. The biggest gap is from 315 to 367.
Wow. Yeah, I'm the lowest.
Yeah, at 315, which is, again, not unreasonable. Steve said, can you do Micah Parsons stat projections for Green Bay? Steve, when Gutekunst comes to the podium tomorrow and says that we've traded for Micah Parsons, we will do an emergency stat projection for Micah Parsons.
Also, if we trade for Micah Parsons, I might not make it to the show tomorrow because I'm going to have a fucking heart attack.
Yeah.
That would be insane.
It'll be 96 pressures, 17 and a half sacks.
And all 4 of us wearing our white pants next Tuesday.
Yep.
All right. You guys ready to move to pass catchers?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to start with Romeo Doubs, just because he's the not even necessarily that he's wide receiver 1. I actually got to pull Doubs up because I don't have that one saved. Okay, I'm just going to put Doubs on the screen, and I'll just tell you guys what we have his numbers projected at. We have a consensus for 59 receptions on 84 targets, 696 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Now, I have him the highest, 72 receptions on 110 targets for 864 yards and 6 touchdowns. Reason why I have Romeo Doubs so high with these numbers is I looked at games that he played more than 25 passing snaps last season, which was weeks 1, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15, and 17. In those games, he had 54 targets, which if you divide that by those 8 games, that's 6.75 targets per game. So that's why I have Romeo Doubs so high, because when he is on the field, he is Jordan Love's most trusted target. And I also spent all of last season and a big chunk of his rookie season saying that Romeo Doubs is not necessarily the Packers' best receiver, but he is their most complete receiver. Even with Matthew Golden entering the fray, I still think that's the case until proven otherwise. Also, I think that there's a case to be made that he's also their most healthy wide receiver. I mean, between him and Golden really hasn't had any injury issues, but Romeo Doubs came in. They had no concerns about recurring concussion issues. So I think between Doubs and Golden, those are your 2 healthiest guys, and those are the 2 guys that are going to see a large bump in production.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to go to Jayden Reed next. Looking at what we have projected for Jayden Reed as a consensus, we have 66 receptions on 89 targets, 932 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Now I'm going to go to Jake on this one first. Jake has him seeing 100 targets and 1,070 yards. So, Jake, give me your thoughts on that one.
I think Matt LaFleur finally gets his goddamn head out of his ass and stops fucking around with him in the backfield. Throw him the fucking ball in a slant route, bro. Jesus Christ. He's fast. He's good in the open field. Give him the damn ball. I think I wrote down 100 targets because I want him to get 100 targets.
Yeah.
I think that's more of what it was.
I will say between the 4 of us, Bryant has him at 83 is the lowest out of all 4 of us. So there's not a huge gap there. Bryant at 83, me at 85, Simon at 88, and Jake at 100. I have him the lowest at 806 yards, which I think is kind of a reflection of just him being a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage. Matthew asked, is Mecole Hardman cut? I thought he was on the roster. Yes, he was cut. But Bryant brought up a good point earlier. Don't be surprised if somebody gets moved to IR and Hardman gets brought back, at least until Jayden Reed is fully healthy to be returning. Mm-hmm. Anything else on Jayden Reed that you guys want to throw out there? I mean, touchdowns, we had him projected for 5, 5, 6, and 6. I mean, yards, receptions, none of that else is super out of the ordinary with that.
Yeah, as long as he just catches the damn ball, I think he'd be fine.
Yeah. Yep. Had to throw in the graphic, the catch that he made into triple coverage last year. Just an insane ball placement by Jordan Love and a great catch by Jayden Reed.
Yeah, the concentration from Jayden Reed is elite right there.
Matthew asked, who's our backup when Jordan and Malik is out? If we get to a point that we need a third quarterback, it's going to end up being Joe Flacco after he gets cut from the Browns. But if it got to a point that both of them went out in the same game, the third string quarterback is most likely going to be Taylor Elgersma. Although apparently before the show, I started seeing rumors that the Packers could sign Clayton Tune, which I think is kind of odd. Like at that point,
I've been saying I don't think they like either of the backups they've had. So don't be surprised if they go somewhere else.
It wouldn't shock me. And honestly, nobody is keeping their third string quarterbacks except for the Browns who drafted 2 of them.
Well, dude, can you imagine the uproar if they would have actually cut Shedeur? Right. Yeah. Jesus.
Well, and somebody would have picked him up for sure. I mean, you can get him for free. Like,
yeah.
I mean, obviously you have to claim him on waivers, but still. Wouldn't shock me if they added another quarterback. Could even be a guy like Kyle McCord, who I've seen is expected to have a lot of interest. I mean, you look at guys like Brady Cook, guys who were decent in college, but just don't have a super high projection in the NFL. Snoop Huntley's floating around out there. There's going to be journeyman guys out there. I mean, wouldn't shock me if a guy like Jacoby Brissett ends up out on the waivers. Like, Matthew said, pick up the Sanders at Tampa Bay cut. I don't think they need to. Packers are good at safety.
Dude, people keep thinking he's a cornerback, bro. He's a safety.
Yeah. Yeah. Steve said Reed's usage in 2 wide receiver sets was low last year. It won't go up this year, and he's hurt. I'd be thrilled with 60 catches, 750, and 6. Again, we're assuming health. Okay. Next wide receiver we're going to go to is Dontavian Wicks.
Yep.
So we have Dontavian Wicks consensus 44 catches, 67 targets, 559 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Jake, you have him the highest at 80 targets. Bryant had him at 60, Simon at 61, me at 66. Jake, you have any thoughts on Dontavian Wicks?
Jordan Love likes to spread the love, man. He targets everybody, and there'll be games. I mean, honestly, we still talk about Dontavian Wicks like he's baby Devontae Adams, and he gets open, dude. So he's going to get the damn ball thrown to him. It's just a matter of him finishing the play. So,
yeah.
He gets open when he's on the field. It's whether he can catch the ball or not.
Yeah,
well, also, you know, with Watson out as well, he's going to get a little uptick in playing time when he comes back. So
that's fair. Matthew, come back next week. Next week is when we're doing record predictions.
Yep.
All right. Let's go to the one that everybody wants to talk about. Let's go to Matthew Golden. I saved him for last as far as wide receivers are concerned because I want to kind of flex some research that I did. But looking at Matthew Golden as a consensus, we have him for 59 receptions on 87 targets, 870 yards, and 6 touchdowns. I think this would be a great rookie season for him. So I'm just going to go and throw this out there. Bryant has him at 70 receptions, the highest out of the 4 of us, for 1,050 yards and 7 touchdowns. You just want to give your thoughts on that quick while I scroll over to my notes.
Yeah. For me, I just think he's going to quickly become the best wide receiver on this team, and he's going to get the targets. He's shown sure hands already. I think he's going to be a chain mover. I think he's going to take a couple short catches for a large amount of yards to up that average. You're going to see this dude take a slant for like 25 yards just by breaking tackles and flying upfield. So there's been a lot of rookie wide receivers that have cracked 1,000 yards recently, and I think Matt Golden could be that next one on that list.
Justin and T were asking some questions on Wicks. Haven't seen anything that he's not expected to be. And Justin, as far as drops, I'm not even going to think about it. I'm going to cross that bridge when they get here.
Yeah,
that'd be like asking Jake and I to project how many strikeouts the guy's going to have in the baseball season.
0.
Yeah.
hopefully for the Brewers.
Right.
Hopefully it's less than last Golden. Year. Golden is really good at those quick speed outs. So that's why I probably have him highest on the touchdowns because I think in the red zone that's going to be a really big key.
Yep. You have him at 8.
Yep, I have 8. I have 50 for 85 on 85 targets, 850 yards, and 8 touchdowns. I think the out routes are going to be massive. When you think about the personnel that the Packers are going to run out there in the red zone, I think out routes are going to be big because you're going to try to take away Tucker Kraft. They're going to run a lot of 12 personnel this year. Please, God, let Musgrave be healthy, so we can run a lot of 12 personnel. You can run out of that, and he's going to get a lot of one-on-ones because of those situations because you're going to have to load the box in that situation. And he's a good route runner, and he has good, strong hands to win those one-on-ones. So I think he's going to be an absolute pleasant surprise and a stud.
So I just want to flex the research that I did. I looked up the number of wide receivers since 2020 that were drafted between 20 and 30.
Mm-hmm.
So there are 10 wide receivers drafted in the 20s since 2020. They are Brian Thomas Jr., Xavier Worthy, Quentin Johnston, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Kadarius Toney, Rashard Bateman, Jalen Reagor, Justin Jefferson, and Brandon Ayuk. Looking at those guys, looking at their consensus numbers, their totals, and their averages, they averaged 59.5 receptions on 91.4 targets for 760 yards and 4.7 touchdowns. So that's where a lot of my numbers and influence came from, is looking at those 10 guys who were drafted in the 20s in the last 5 drafts.
I like that.
Okay. Last 2 guys that we have are the 2 tight ends. So let's do Tucker Kraft last because he's the most fun before we do our bold predictions real quick.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Luke Musgrave, we have projected as a consensus 29 receptions on 46 targets, 309 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I would love it if all 4 of us were wrong on this and he blew these numbers out of the water. I'll give Jake and Bryant both the floor here. Jake has him 20 for 50 for 200. That's a pretty low catch percentage at only 40%. And then Bryant has him 36 for 50, which is a 72% catch rate. Yes, Steve Golden is keeping 22. So I'll give you guys a chance both to give your thoughts on Luke Musgrave before we do Tucker Kraft.
Go ahead, Brian.
What did I have for yards again? Because I feel like I'm higher than our consensus.
360.
Okay, yeah. I just feel like the last 2.5, 3 weeks of preseason, all you hear is Musgrave up the seam or making a big catch. I think he's going to make some bigger down the field catches this year, and that's going to bump up the yards. And I just feel like a lot of times tight ends do take a third year to really kind of come into their own. And Musgrave's had a rough start to the year. We did see him get banged up in the preseason. Everyone's like, oh, here we go again. Well, guess what? He was practicing the next week or the next day or whatever. They had a couple days off after the game, and he was out there. So I just feel like hopefully this is the year he kind of takes a turn. We have so many people to throw the ball to that it's hard to get everyone the targets that you think they should get. But I do think there's a chance that Musgrave, you can really start. Basically, I feel like his ability really starts to shine through a little bit. He probably won't get to use the full ability and get all the snaps he wants, but I have a feeling that he's going to be a little more involved than people might think if he's healthy.
He's one of those guys too. Like we saw it in the Dallas playoff game 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, that he can get loose and just have one catch that goes for 45 yards, and then all these numbers change. Steve brought up a good point. He's a high variance guy. He could be at these numbers. He could be below these numbers. He could also be way above these numbers. He could double all these numbers, and it wouldn't really shock us.
Yeah.
So let's end on Tucker Kraft before we do bold predictions. Let's talk Tucker Kraft. Our consensus number is very interesting with Tucker Kraft. He's going to come up in our next segment. I guarantee it. We have him consensus at 63 receptions on 82 targets for 777 yards and 8 touchdowns. Now, the biggest variance in receptions is from me at 58 to Simon at 69. The biggest difference in targets is from me at 72 to Bryant at 90. So not a huge variance on Tucker Kraft. All of us have him within 100 yards. And I have him the lowest at 7 touchdowns. Jake has him the highest at 10. For me, it just comes down to the point that the touchdowns got to go somewhere. And I kind of have them a little more balanced out, whereas, Bryant, Jake, and Simon kind of have some guys that are a little bit higher, a little bit lower. So I don't have a super big, standout number on here, but I had to have a picture of Tucker Kraft giving somebody a stiff arm. Last year we had he just dribbled that man picture. This year we have him throwing out another stiff arm. So Tucker Kraft, Justin said it's my guy. Tucker's actually going to crush it this year. Anything you guys want to say on Tucker Kraft before we move into bold predictions?
Yeah, I mean, I think he could easily beat all of our average projections, and I wouldn't be shocked. Yep. I think we could easily see him enter the top 5 tight end conversation in the NFL, and I would not be surprised.
Yep. I would say it's not even a bold prediction as we're about to start here, but it would not shock me if Tucker Kraft ends up being the best tight end in the NFC North this year.
I just want to say happy dog day to Tucker Kraft, dude, because guy's a fucking dog. You like that, dude? I was waiting to fucking say that shit all goddamn day, dude. So happy dog day to my boy. He's going to absolutely destroy some people, and I cannot wait for Joseph to eat crow week 1 at Lambeau. I hope we get a one-on-one and he just absolutely destroys Kirby Joseph one-on-one. I would love nothing more than that.
Yeah, but we all know Kirby Joseph will dive right for his ankles.
Yeah, he'll go low.
Nah, I'm talking about he's guarding him one-on-one and Tucker Kraft catches it and pushes his ass right into the Lambeau field. He stays there.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to jump into bold predictions because I have one that involves Tucker Kraft and Simon has one that involves Tucker Kraft. Justin said, can't wait to hear quotes
yeah, dude.
His opponents to opponents this year. 63 catches would be a Packers record for tight ends. Finley had 61. That's
where money that
the consensus we feel that he is.
I would put money that he hits the over. If he's healthy for 17 games, he will catch more than 63 balls. I would be surprised if he did not.
Dude, if Musgrave stays healthy with Kraft, they're going to fucking run 12 personnel into the fucking ground, dude. And those 2 tight ends are going to feast. I hope so, dude.
And I've seen good things about how they feel about Musgrave's improvements in the blocking aspects as well.
Oh, please.
All right, let's jump into bold predictions. My first one, and I love this for Tucker Kraft. I have a bold prediction of 3 Kraft Shaft touchdowns this season.
Oh, crap.
I feel that they're going to try to protect Jordan Love. So we get down to the 1-yard line. It's Kraft Shaft time.
As long as one of them is versus the Eagles, I will love nothing more.
Simon's first bold prediction that involves Tucker Kraft is that the Packers have 2 1,000-yard receivers, one of them being Tucker Kraft, the other being Matthew Golden.
Wow. Okay.
All right. Do either of you have a bold prediction involving Tucker Kraft that you want to throw out there?
Not Tucker Kraft.
All right. Bryant, give me your next one.
All right. Since we were on offense side of the ball, I'll say that my first bold prediction is that Golden leads all rookies in the NFL in receptions and yards.
Dang. Okay. I like that.
And his name will be in the running for offensive rookie of the year. But when you have a high running back draft and a top quarterback, it's hard to beat those guys out.
Yeah. I like that one. All right, Jake, give me your first bold prediction.
Josh Jacobs wins the rushing triple crown.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, let me just jump in because I had Josh Jacobs leading in rushing yards and touchdowns.
Haha, nice.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
I'm going to save Simon's last one because I know that Bryant wants to say it when we talk about one guy. But I'm going to say Simon's next one is that Brandon McManus and Daniel Whelan both make the Pro Bowl.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much, dude.
So I'll jump in here because mine kind of ties into that because I don't think we'd be surprised about the other 2 aspects of the game, but the one we've been bad at. So I put that the Packers are top 12 in all 3 categories, all 3 phases of the game this year. So top 12 in offense, top 12 in defense, and top 12 in special teams. And to put that in perspective, I don't think we finished above like 27 or 28 in special teams in years.
Probably over 10 years, I would say.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Justin said that Jacobs throws a touchdown this year. Buddy, if any skill position player is throwing a touchdown this year, it's going to be Savion Williams.
Yep.
I'm going to throw that out there right now.
Yeah.
How about Savion throw the touchdown to Jacobs?
A Williams-Jacobs backfield, dude? Oof.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be fun. Okay.
That would be filthy.
Jake, give me your next bold prediction.
My next 2 are on defense. I wrote down a bunch of them, but I'll just do my defense ones.
Oh, okay, Brian.
Do you want me to go first?
Hey, I didn't know what people were going to write down. I wanted to be prepared. So my first one I have is the Packers defense leads the league in forced turnovers.
Okay.
Good one.
My last one is also on defense. My last one is that Xavier McKinney only has 4 interceptions, but 2 of them go for touchdowns.
Oh, okay. I like that.
So, again, playing on the teams don't throw at him as much.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give my last one, and this ties back to all the stats that I gave for Edgerrin Cooper. I put that Edgerrin Cooper is an all-pro player this year. That's either first team or second team all-pro. So if you look at what the NFL tracks in his about 50% snap share last year, he had 87 total tackles. I think he's going to be on the field for 95% of snaps, 95 if he's healthy. So that's where I think he's going to hit that 145, 150 tackles. I think he has a chance to. I said earlier in the season when we were doing a show, I could see him being a double-digit sack guy if they blitzed him enough. And then I think with his coverage numbers and his tackles for losses, I think that Edge Cooper has a legitimate chance to have an all-pro season.
What is the record for most tackles in a season by a Packers line? It's got to be in the 150s.
I don't know what it is by Packer.
It's got to be in the 150s, I would think. So
yeah, he might. I'm just going to throw Simon's last one out there. Simon's last one is Edgerrin Cooper leads the league in tackles for loss.
Oh, I got my last one too. I think you guys might like this one better than my one I just gave. Packers defense finishes top 3 in yards and points per game.
That'd be sweet. If we do that, we might end up in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. If they do that, they're going to the Super Bowl, buddy.
Yikes. The Packers' single-season record for combined tackles is 203, set by Blake Martinez in 2017.
Wow.
It doesn't count because every tackle is 15 yards downfield.
Held by Nick Barnett from the 2005 season.
Nick Barnett's matters more. He actually tackled people.
Well,
Blake Martinez got ran over.
Looking, I mean, per StatMuse, the record is 102.
That must be solo.
That's got that it just said the most solo was 194. StatMuse says the most combined tackles is 146.
Interesting.
So let me see.
We need to tweet at that Packers historian guy. The guy knows everything.
Yeah, that's gonna give me there. Oh, I don't know. It's a lot, and I'll say that Edgerrin Cooper has a chance to beat it.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming to join us for our bold predictions, stat predictions, our roster review. Be sure to tune in next week. Next week, we're going through the lay of the land of the NFC South, the Packers schedule, which will also include our record predictions from the head and the heart, and our first week preview for Packers Lions. That will all be next Tuesday. We will be joined by Mike Spofford, the editor of Packers.com, for that one, which is going to be very fun. Mike always gives us a lot of great insight. Obviously, he's in the locker room. He gets to talk to the players, and we will get to talk to him. So join us again next Tuesday. We will see you then. And, go Pack Go.
That's a great stat, Steve. Go Pack Go.
Yeah, love that, Steve.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams Labor Day sale and get 35% off paints and stains August 22nd through September 4th. With prices starting at $31.84, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your interior or exterior, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store or shop the sale online. Delivery available on qualifying orders. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.